Ask somebody to name the vows that a monk takes, and you'll get the same three every single time: poverty, chastity, and obedience. For one particular group, that's wrong. The Benedictines take a different set, right? It's written down in chapter 58 of their rule book, a document from the 6th century that they still actually follow, right? And the three they promise are obedience, conversion of life, and stability. That third one stopped me cold when I read it, because stability doesn't mean what you think it means, right? Hey, if you're new here, then I want to welcome you. I'm Isai Rodriguez, and this is the Home Business Hustle. I'm building something of my own on the side of my 9-to-5 that pays the bills, but isn't going to be the thing that sets me free. And every week, I show you exactly what that looks like. Not the highlight reel, but the actual thing. If you're a working dad who's tired of being successful on paper but broke on time, then you're in the right place. We don't do the guru hype here. We don't do the laptop on the beach fairy tale. We just do the work that actually works. So let's get right into it. So yeah, stability. Stability doesn't mean what you think it means, right? It doesn't mean be a steady person, right? It doesn't mean have a routine. What it means is this monastery, this place, not the order, not the calling, this building, the edifice that that they worship in, where they congregate in, right? These specific guys, for the rest of you, like the people that they're with, the congregation itself, for the rest of their life, you don't transfer, you don't shop around. If the guy 2 seats down from you at breakfast drives you up the wall, then congratulations and get used to it, because that's your breakfast partner for the next 40 years, right? One community describes the vow as giving up the temptation to keep moving from place to place, looking for the ideal situation. And here's the part that got me, right? Thomas Merton, probably the most famous monk of the last century, right? He wrote about why Benedict put that in there, right? In their doctrine, their document, right? His read was that Benedict knew perfectly, he knew perfectly well the monk would be limited, and that the community would be limited too. And he considered that part of the point, right? Taking the vow means giving up the fantasy of wandering off and finding a perfect monastery. Now, I'm not a monk, all right? I'm a dad in California with a job and a laptop, right? Building a home business that's allowing me to build time freedom, right? That's who I am, right? I'm not telling you to go and take a vow, but I've thought about that word, the word, for about a week when I read it, for a week straight. And I want to tell you why, because the fantasy of the better monastery is the thing that's killing your side business, right? Not laziness, not lack of talent, not the algorithm, the better monastery. I want you to follow me here, right? Walk with me here. Mental walk, okay? And I know that you know exactly what I mean, right? Month 1, you're locked in. Month 2, still good. Month 3, the excitement's gone, right? The numbers are flat, and a video shows up in your feed about a completely different approach that looks cleaner, looks faster, and this is the important part. It's new and shiny. Are you with me? And here's what your brain tells you. It doesn't say you're quitting. Your brain, it's smarter than that. It tells you that, I'm pivoting, right? I'm being strategic, right? This one's better. It's a better fit for me. This one will work because X, Y, and Z, right? Listen, man, I've said all three and more out loud. Are you with me? With a straight face. silly. I know, I understand, I get that. Here's the honest version though, is that you weren't looking for a better plan. You were looking for the feeling that you had in month one, that excitement, right? And the only place that that feeling exists is at the start of something new. So you get started. You start something again, right? That's not a strategy. That's a guy who liked being excited more than he liked building his business, right? Let me tell you about my worst week of this, right? This whole, like, back in July, a drive failed on my storage box, that I keep at home, and it took the whole thing down, right? So I have this server at home, this box that has a bunch of drives in it where I just dump all my stuff. It's my personal Google Drive, if you will, right? Get this. I'm in IT, 20 plus years in IT, and I got taken out by rule number 1, no backup, right? Rookie mistake on me, for sure. We can talk about that another time, okay? So the rebuild was on from scratch, from the command line, no interface, no progress bar with a little cartoon dog on it, none of that, right? Just me typing commands into a black window for hours. I personally love it. I love terminal work. That's what I do, right? But I quit mentally, right? And I want to be specific here, right? Because this is the whole video, is that I quit in my head probably a dozen times. I sat there and actually decided that this wasn't worth it, right? That I started, I'm going to start over some other weekend. I'm going to find, that data was probably gone anyway. I'm coming up with all these scenarios, all these excuses. And then but what I didn't do is I didn't stop typing in the next command, right? I mentally kind of checked out, but I was still working, if you will, right? I was still moving. I was making that forward progress, right? So I typed that next command and then the next command, did a little search on the output that I got, issued the next command, right? And I never once stopped typing. You with me? That gap right there between quitting in your head and quitting with your hands, that's the entire skill. That's it. That's the thing right there that nobody tells you, right? Nobody tells you that, right? Everybody sells you the motivation, right? Everybody wants you to be motivated. Just get motivated. Find your motivation, and that's gonna carry you through everything. Everybody sells you that. The goal is to feel like doing it. Listen, it isn't. You're most likely never gonna feel like doing anything, right? Quite the opposite. You're gonna feel like quitting more often than not, regularly, on schedule, right? That feeling is not information about whether the thing is working. The months, they didn't take a vow to always want to be there. Wanting to be there isn't something that you can promise, right? They promised to be there, right? So here's the practical version. 3 things, and they're small on purpose. So the first thing, decide what your monastery is. What is it? Decide that out loud, in writing. Not, I'm building a business. That's too vague to be a binding. That's too vague for you to do something, right? You need something like, this list, this channel, this offer through the end of the year, right? That's what we're talking about. And when the shiny thing shows up in month 3, right? You're not making a judgment call in that weak moment, right? When your motivation is down. You already made that decision back when you were thinking clearly. That's the trick. 2, set the floor, not the goal. Goals are for good days, right? What you need is the number that you hit on your worst day. The one so small that it's almost embarrassing. Mine's 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and I've kept my promise. And some nights, that's genuinely all I do. Some nights, that in itself is just difficult, right? But I do it. The floor is what keeps your hands moving after your head has clocked out. 3, when you want to quit, write down the date. That's it. This is the trick though. Just the date in a notes app, wherever it is, whatever works for you. Because in about 6 weeks, you'll flip back and see 4 dates and realize that you didn't quit any of those times either. And that changes how the next one feels, right? Because here's what I actually think is going on. Excitement wearing off isn't the problem. It's the entry fee, if you will, right? Every single person who's ever built anything real walked through that exact same stretch, right? That stretch where it's boring, nobody's watching, and the shiny thing is right there, right in your face, ready for you to to grab it, right? The only difference between the people who make it out and the people who don't is that one group thought, that stretch, right? That's the only thing, is that one group thought that stretch meant something was wrong. But it doesn't, if you're with me, right? It means that you got past the fun part. That's not a setback. That's the door. And listen, I'm not standing here having figured it all out, right? I'm just a few steps ahead of you. That's it. I'm somewhere in my own month 3, proverbially speaking, right? On a couple of things right now. And I'll tell you, honestly, the shiny thing always looks pretty good from here. Always does, but I'm staying away. Not because I'm disciplined, because, listen, I'm staying away because I decided in advance, and I'm too stubborn to renegotiate with myself. What I found is that slow and honest beats fast and fake every time. It's not glamorous. It's not sexy. I know it's not what you want to hear. You want the hack that takes you from 0 to hero overnight. Listen, that doesn't exist. I'm sorry. So here's your assignment. And it takes 90 seconds, if you will. Write down your monastery. 1 sentence. This thing until this date. Whatever that is for you. Then put it where you'll see it in month 3, because that month 3 version of you is going to be a much worse decision maker than you are right now while you're still motivated, right? And if this is the kind of thing that you want more of, I write a daily email called the Build Debrief. This video is just kind of like the highlight reel, if you will. That's that daily debrief. That's the rest of it, written the same day it happens, including the days that I quit in my head. Links in the description, and subscribe while you're there. Okay? Fresh new episode every week, and next week I'm getting into something that I've been avoiding talking about, and I'll just leave it there for now because I don't want to give it all away, right? Anyway, that's all for today, my friends. Remember, information without execution is just a hobby. And you didn't click on this video because you needed another hobby. You clicked because you're ready to build something that lasts. So, go hug your kids and then go and do the work. All right. But first, don't forget to hit the link in the description for your free guide. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Let's get to work, man. Take care. Bye.